Hi, I'm Lisa Bloom and this is the Dare to Tell story show. Do you remember that song, Summertime and the Living is Easy? I love it. It reminds me of my childhood and some vague time that I can't quite pinpoint. But you know, the truth is that up until a few years ago, and since my kids were of school age and I've been working from home, I really dreaded the summer. You know, I was just in a panic, like what am I going to do for these 2 full months? The kids are home, how am I going to get any work done? What am I going to do with them all this time? And I would get myself worked up, just overwhelmed and so stressed. Then a few years ago that all changed, and it began, strangely enough, with a blog post. I decided to write the 10 terrific tips for summer ease, I think it was. Anyway, it was directed towards entrepreneurs who have kids. I'm sure it's still on the blog somewhere so you can check it out. But once I wrote that, of course, you know, it was like taking my own medicine because I completely calmed down and I came up with a kind of a strategy that I knew was going to help me with coping with the summer and not having to dread it anymore. So today I want to share with you the 4 main points from that article and my approach to handling summer and actually really enjoying it. So the first is to actually just breathe deeply. You know, when you're overwhelmed, when you're in panic, when you feel stressed, the first thing that happens is we don't breathe properly. So breathe deeply and then remember what it felt like. Do you remember that day that school would be out and you'd have that feeling in your stomach, those butterflies of that vast amount of time that was waiting for you to just fill up with fun during the summer? I remember it really, really well. And when I remember it for myself and I can kind of project that for my kids, it's fantastic and it totally calms me down. The second point is actually to do some planning. And when I say do some planning, I don't mean about in your head. I mean actually take a schedule, fill out a calendar and plan every day. What are you going to do? And that way you can plan your work time, you can plan your downtime, and you make sure that your kids are organized to do the things that you and they want to do during the summer. It makes a huge difference when you have a plan in place and you can actually just follow that. Everybody is more calm, more happy, and actually gets to do the things they want. The third main thing, the main point is self-care. Now, if you've been following me or reading my blogs over the last while, you'll know that it took me a while to actually come to terms with that concept of self-care. My attitude was also, oh, for goodness sake, I don't have time for self-care, I've got a business, I've got kids, I'm so busy. And I thought, you know, self-care meant I had to kind of check into a spa for 3 days and I had to listen to classical music 4 times a day for 20 minutes. And, you know, I just poo-pooed the whole thing. I said it was crazy. But I realized that self-care is so important, and it's not all that stuff. It's not the spa days. It's not all that stuff that somebody else prescribes. For me, self-care is making sure that I have time to meet up a friend for coffee, even during the summer when the kids are home from school. It's to make sure that I have time to take a walk on the beach. It's to make sure that I can get in my Zumba classes and I just take time for me. So it's really, really important to make sure that that's part of your schedule. And of course, if you can get nature in there, I just hugely recommend that. There is nothing like taking a really nice walk on the beach or getting into a forest. And sometimes, you know, you can get your self-care in with the kids because my kids love to be out in nature. And it's really, really fun to do that, as long as it's quality time for you too. And finally, the 4th main point to cope with that summer stress, this is the one I love best actually. It's just to surrender, just to give into it. It's to say, you know what, it's summertime, there's lots of fresh air and sunshine, and you know, everybody's in a good mood, and maybe I won't get as much work done as I had planned, and that's absolutely okay. So surrender. And the most important thing is to enjoy that time, cherish the time, because it passes so fast. So I hope you enjoyed today, you've picked up a few points or tips that you can use, and thank you for joining me at the Dare to Tell story show.